Welcome back. All right, so during the day I've been collecting news items to throw onto the board. I feel like now is a pretty safe time to do a news video and upload it. I don't think we're going to see anything major going on. Much quieter day today than yesterday around the NHL, but still some stuff to talk about. Starting off with, and this is something I would have talked about yesterday if I'd seen it. I saw Erica Wachter was trending, and I was like, why is Erica Wachter trending? What's going on? And it's that the MSG networks have let her go. They've decided not to bring her back for Devils broadcasts. I wholeheartedly disagree, vehemently disagree with this decision. I will agree with people that have got there's like a petition up. I don't think that petition's going to make a difference, but hey, if it does, great. If it doesn't, well, then you tried. But Erica Wachter, over the 6 years of New Jersey Devils games that she's been a part of the broadcast for, I think she's made great strides. She's done a really good job. I don't know what the reason is for them not bringing her back, but I wanted to talk about it in a news video and say I think that's a huge mistake. There have been times where watching Devils games that I feel like she's done a really good job of asking the right questions to players during interviews. And you don't get the feeling, like sometimes you get a feeling from the reporters that they're fanboying, fangirling a little bit. I've never really had that from Erica. And there's insight. There's insight you get from interviews. I'm not sure why they didn't bring her back. All she said in her Instagram post was they were looking in another direction. Why? I wanted to throw that into a news video because it's something I saw and I was like, man, that I'll probably watch less Devils broadcasts then when I have the choice of the home or away. Sometimes I'll pick Devils because I'm like, usually what I go by is the color commentator, play by play, and your rinkside announcer too, and I go, okay, which one's got the best crew? Detroit still number one in my eyes, but yeah, New Jersey was up there, and it's going to take a hit without Erica. So at any rate, and I don't know who they're going to hire as a replacement. I don't know what the plan is going forward, but I just, to me personally, just on the surface of it, I think it's a mistake. Ilya Mikheyev's agent has got the green light to seek a trade out of Vancouver. So the worst kept secret out of Vancouver is they need to move Mikheyev's money. There's a reason his name was in purple when all the others were in black when I was doing the video the other day on the Canucks. And they keep signing players. So, you know, Karlsson gets a two-way deal today amongst the players that they've been signing and extending. I think Linus Karlsson has a good chance of breaking camp with the Vancouver Canucks, depending on what they do in the offseason. In an interview with Ian McIntyre, Jim Rutherford basically acknowledging they're going to lose some free agents. The Canucks are going to have a challenge ahead of them, saying that, you know, every offseason is difficult and that they're not concerned about losing fan favorites like Zadorov or Joshua because they lost a fan favorite in Horvat and things turned out pretty well for the Canucks out of that. So I think the feeling is, well, if we lose Joshua, if we lose Zadorov, you go out and you find value additions. And again, as I've said recently, that's where your pro scouts come in handy. Your pro scouts are employed with the idea of looking around the NHL, find guys that are being underutilized by their teams, and that you feel like could really be of a huge boost to your team. So, yeah, the Canucks definitely a team to keep an eye on in this offseason, but it does look like a lot of their free agents may be on their way out the door. But at least Mikheyev, his agent being allowed to look for a trade. We'll see what happens. I will agree with the post I saw saying his agent will probably go back to the team saying your guys are going to have to retain or you're going to have to add a sweetener. That's very likely going to be the case because Mikheyev's cap hit's a little bit high and his production's a little bit low. So, yeah, and a little bit low, I will say. Yeah, probably being a little generous there. The Columbus Blue Jackets join the realm of teams that are willing to move their top draft pick. They're willing to move the number 4 pick. But being willing to move a pick doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means that you're listening. You're listening, and if there's a deal that blows your doors off, you're willing to make that deal. I don't know how many trades we're going to see in a week at the draft. It is next Friday when the draft's taking place. At least the first round, and then, of course, 2nd through 7th round are on the Saturday. Now we've got a meetup on that Saturday as well. I kind of had to do it. My friend Chrissy, she told me there was somebody who really wanted to go to the meetup on the 29th, and I was like, well, all right, I'll do a meetup on the 29th then, because you asked for your friend. So she pulled some strings, and she made it happen. So there you go. But anyways, the number 4 pick, getting back to where I was before, the number 4 pick being potentially moved doesn't mean anything bad about this draft class, because I saw that post today too of, does it mean this draft class isn't great? No, this time of year, we do hear often from teams that, oh, we're willing to move the pick. Sure. And if you call them up and go, hey, do you want Connor McDavid for that pick? Sure. Like that kind of thing, right? So, yeah, a team listening on a draft pick doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get moved, and it doesn't mean it's going to be a cheap acquisition if you want to acquire, in this case, the number 4 draft pick from the Columbus Blue Jackets. I still say they keep it. I still think Lindstrom would be the best pick for them as long as he's still on the board at 4. But that's just me. We'll see what happens next Friday with that. Now, between now and next Friday, of course, we got to settle out the Stanley Cup. And it looks like Nick Cousins is going to be in the lineup for the Florida Panthers. Opozo is expected to be a healthy scratch for Florida. He's had some decent games on that fourth line, but you got to change something out after back-to-back losses. They're also making some changes and flipping wingers and changing around their power play a little bit. Just making the adjustments you have to make. And the Oilers made adjustments after Game 3, which have worked to their benefit in 4 and 5. And now the Florida Panthers making some adjustments, looking forward to Game 6 tomorrow night in Edmonton. Game 4 tonight in the Calder Cup final, and I will be watching and reviewing that game. It's Coachella Valley, of course, hosting the Hershey Bears, and Coachella Valley's up 2-1. They win tonight, then they can close it out in Game 5 and not have to worry about going back to Hershey for Game 6 or Game 7. So Coachella Valley just, staying true to the whole idea of, home ice advantage has got to mean something for them. And, yeah, they won the first game of this series at home. Now we'll see if they can win their second straight home game tonight after getting that split in Games 1 and 2 against Hershey. Jacob Markstrom, so coming back to Devils, but the Devils on the ice team, although Markstrom hasn't played a game for them yet, he admitted that he was frustrated in Calgary, not by on the ice stuff, it was off the ice stuff. He didn't like hearing about stuff that was untrue and just basically lies. He felt there were lies being told about him and the situation with him in Calgary. So it definitely sounds like it wasn't a workable situation where there was going to be a solution for Markstrom and for the team. So, yeah, it is a shame that things ended between Markstrom and the Flames the way that they did. I think he's an excellent goaltender. And I just wonder, so if he was kind of ticked off a little bit this last season, how good is he going to be for New Jersey when he gets that fresh start? He could have a very strong season for New Jersey Devils team that might have been the most disappointing team in the league this season. Alex Nedeljkovic is not hitting the free agent market. During times this season for Pittsburgh, he actually outplayed Jari and ended up kind of getting the starter's job. So Nedeljkovic signs a 2-year extension with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's staying there. It's a $2.5 million cap hit for him. And again, I thought he had maybe his strongest season in the National Hockey League this year. So it makes sense for Pittsburgh to keep him around. And then you have Jari and Nedeljkovic. And we'll see how things go with Pittsburgh's goaltending. Although I don't think the goaltending cost them a playoff spot this year. I think there's other issues with that roster they need to address. So, yeah, Nedeljkovic is staying with Pittsburgh for next 2 seasons. And again, that $2.5 million cap hit. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Ducks fans not happy right now. The teasers that are out there basically indicate that they're going orange. And they are, and we've known that for years. It's one of the worst kept secrets in hockey, really, that the Ducks were going to go to a primarily orange color scheme. The orange third jersey they've worn the last few years, it's pretty clear that was kind of where they were leaning. And so they're going to reveal the new jerseys, the whole look, next week. I have seen information about leaks and whatnot and all that. But for the Ducks, teasing new uniforms, I will be doing a video on that next week and talking about what they're going with and why and all that. So stay tuned for that. I will say, though, for fans who are upset, we're not getting eggplant and teal. There are third jerseys, and with them going back to the Mighty Ducks look, I would not be surprised to see the original jersey brought back as a third jersey. And just this past year, they had the 30th anniversary jersey, which is exactly those colors, and it's fantastic. So I understand people want the Ducks to wear them the full time and all of that, but I don't blame them for trying something new. And I think of it very similarly to the way that the Vancouver Canucks treat the skate jersey. I don't think the Canucks ever go back to the skate full-time as their brand. I think it stays as a third jersey. They know those are going to sell, and the Orca stays as the main logo, which, again, there are some Canuck fans that don't like it, but I get it. I totally understand. So we will talk about the Ducks, the rebrand, and all that fun stuff next week, so stay tuned for that. But I do think fans are upset about something that I don't think it's necessarily that big a deal, because I do expect that Anaheim will probably do other throwbacks to the original Mighty Ducks look, and who knows, maybe the other looks they had in between too before they went to the word mark. Interesting too that when they went to the word mark, they won the Stanley Cup that year. So, anyways, yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Pierre Lebrun reporting on something we haven't seen in the NHL for a few years. It's been a few years since the Kotkaniemi offer sheet. So, since it's Carolina, we can talk about it again. He's reporting that there's a high asking price in trade negotiations for Marty Necas that's keeping teams away from him. However, on July the 1st, you could offer sheet him. So, there's the potential, and not a high potential, but it's there, that a team that's negotiating with Carolina right now and not liking the high price for the trade might be happier to put in an offer sheet. One of two things happens there. Either Carolina matches the offer sheet, which could put them into a really rough cap situation, or they don't match the offer sheet and you get the player without giving up anything other than cap space and maybe a few draft picks. So we'll see what happens there. I will be talking about offer sheets before we get to July the 1st as well. I know there are some new fans of the game and all that, and I'll get into buyouts as well. Maybe I'll do buyouts and offer sheets as like just a video where I talk about both at the same time. But we could see an offer sheet this summer. Remember, the salary cap's going up this year. It's expected to go up next year as well. And so with that extra flexibility GMs have, maybe they'll be a little more gutsy and put in those offer sheets for a player they really want, and the trade offers that are being, floated out there by the team you're trying to get Necas from, in this case Carolina. Maybe you don't like those, and so that's a way to get around it. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think is the most likely to put in an offer sheet for Necas should that happen, and why is it Montreal? I kind of would love to see Montreal put in an offer sheet for Necas just to keep that going, just to keep that back and forth going, and we'll see what happens with Necas. But clearly it looks like he's on his way out of Carolina. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.